Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a very exciting one because I am going to rearrange my Colourpop palettes, and whilst I'm at it, I'm also going to rate all of my Colourpop palettes out of 5 stars. Colourpop comes out with so many palettes, and maybe this video will help you decide which ones are really worth it. So yeah, in today's video we are going to go over all of my Colourpop palettes. I will count how many I have, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot. And I'm also going to rearrange them. So by the way, I'm not showing my face too much in this video because I'm a little bit sick and not feeling the best, so it is best that I don't show my face as often. So yeah, that's why. If you saw my makeup declutter video and like organization video that I posted a couple of weeks ago, you would have seen that I didn't feature my Colourpop eyeshadow palettes, and that is because they are in my makeup vanity in the middle drawer right here. So in this drawer I have all of my Colourpop palettes, but as you can see it is pretty deep and I just don't really see the palettes that I have. And then I also grabbed these from my pile of makeup palettes that I haven't used yet. And then this is like face palettes and stuff like that. So I want to put all of this into my new makeup vanity, which I showed you guys in that video as well. And I just want to put it into this drawer right here. This drawer used to have my skincare and backups, but I put it a drawer down. That way I have the top drawer for all of my Colourpop palettes. So yeah, I'm just going to get started and transfer all of them into the new drawers. We're going to rearrange them, and then I'm also going to show you guys all of them and rate them. Alright, so I just counted all of my Colourpop palettes and I have 49 in total. That is absolutely insane. And I also just ordered the new Winnie the Pooh eyeshadow palette. So let's just say I have 50 Colourpop eyeshadow palettes, and that is just, oh my god, that is really bad. But at the same time, I love these palettes so much and they all just hold a very special place in my heart. Now that we have this out of the way, let's get started and organize them all. Alright, so I'm going to get started with the 9-pan eyeshadow palettes that Colourpop used to do. I'm just going to grab like random palettes and show you. So this is the Strawberry Shake palette, which has a beautiful variety of like red tones. Now I do have to admit I am not the biggest fan of red tones, but the quality on these is really good. Actually almost all of Colourpop's eyeshadow palettes have really good quality, so I'm not going to repeat that a million times. But this was a pretty palette, just not one of my favorites, so I'm going to rate this a 4. Then we have the It's My Pleasure palette, a beautiful purple toned palette. I really love this one. This one gets like a 4.5. It is such a beautiful palette, beautiful purple shades that are very wearable. So yeah, 4.5 on this one. Next up we have Going Coconuts. This gets like a 5+ star from me. I think this is in my top 3 from Colourpop. I'm going to put it aside and make a pile of my top 5. That way you guys know which ones are like my absolute favorite, but this one is definitely in that top 5 for sure. These are just beautiful everyday shades, beautiful like mid-toned palette. I can create a full look with just this palette. The quality is absolutely perfect, so this is definitely in my top 5, which is why I'm going to put it right here. Then we have Baby Got Peach, a beautiful peachy tone palette. I really love when Colourpop did these like monotones 9-pan palettes. They released them with like a cute little mini collection with like a few like face products and lip products. I just really loved that time and it just brings me back. But yeah, this one gets a 4.5 as well. Very beautiful and wearable shades. Next we have Orange You Glad. A beautiful, again, orange toned palette. If you want to see it compared to Baby Got Peach, as you can see it is just a little bit deeper and more orange toned. This one is a little bit more muted, which is why I'm going to give it a 4. The quality is really good, beautiful shades. If I have to choose between these two, I would go for the peach toned one. Then we have Soul, which is again a very beautiful peachy toned palette with a few pops of colors and a few neutral shades as well. This one is a little bit more neutral than Orange You Glad, but I don't really use it for some reason, so I'm going to give it 4 stars. Then we have Brown Sugar. This was in collaboration with Karouche. Some of these palettes, by the way, I don't think they do anymore, like this one for example, but this was a beautiful palette with beautiful like cool tone shades, neutrals, deeper shades, absolutely gorgeous. 4.5. And then I have 4 palettes right here, which, and this is very embarrassing to admit, I have not used yet. These have been sitting in my drawers for so long and I have not touched these, so I'm going to show you guys what they look like. But of course I cannot rate these because I haven't used them. So we have Main Squeeze, but there is a reason I haven't used them. They're not very wearable in my opinion. They're a little bit more out there. This was again when they did these like beautiful 9-pan eyeshadow palettes. So yeah, this is Main Squeeze, very beautiful, but I cannot rate it because I have not used it. I really should though. And then we have Honey with beautiful yellow shades. Again, I just don't really see myself using this. I don't know, it is very unique. Although these shades are quite wearable, I should really try it out. I really should. But that is why I keep them in the cardboard packaging, so that I know I still need to use them. This is the Just My Luck eyeshadow palette. I think they released this for St. Patrick's Day a couple of years ago. Very beautiful shades. I don't know what I was thinking, because these are just not shades that I would typically use, although it is a very beautiful and unique palette. And then we have the Blue Moon eyeshadow palette. Let's see, this is what that looks like. Again, don't know what I was thinking, but very beautiful blue tone shades. So if you're looking to create like a monochromatic eyeshadow look, these are very great. I just, again, don't know if they still do them, but I'm going to quickly rearrange all of these. And then I hope I will grab for these more often if I can see them a little bit better instead of having them stacked on top of each other. Next up, I have a couple of these square shaped eyeshadow palettes. I'm just going to grab all of them really quickly. Alright, I think these are all of them. So first up we have the Sprinkle a Little Magic. This was the Tinkerbell eyeshadow palette. They did such a good job on the packaging. It is just so beautiful. And then these are the shades on the inside. I don't know, this doesn't really scream Tinkerbell to me, but the shades are very beautiful quality. So I would say 4.5. Then we have the Mandalorian and the Child palette. The Mandalorian palette is pretty new in my collection and I love these shades. I absolutely love them. I just think they could have done, I don't know, something a little bit more exciting. So I'm going to give this 4 stars. Then we have the Child palette. They did such a beautiful job on this color story. We have a few beautiful like shimmery shades, a beautiful crease shade, a few pops of green. It is just so beautiful. I'm actually going to set it aside for my top 5 and we'll see. Then we have Nude Mood, again, one of my absolute favorites. This is just, I mean, if you are a neutral lover, you just absolutely need this. So this is 5 stars, and again, going to put it right here for a potential top 5. Then we have the Hello Kitty and Friends palette, which I think released 2 years ago during Christmas time. First of all, absolutely adore and love the packaging, but these shades, I don't know. I think they really messed up these shades for some reason. This was supposed to be a winter themed palette. I just don't really see it, so I'm going to give it 4 stars, even though Hello Kitty collections are my favorite ones they do. I just don't think the color story is that great, so 4 stars. Then we have this palette, Biddy, I think, from the, or Candy Button, I don't really know. This palette has 2 of these like pressed glitters in them, which some palettes do, and I just am not the biggest fan of those. And overall, I don't really get excited about this palette, so I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I also find it really annoying that they're not the same size. Like this one is bigger, this one is smaller. I don't really know why they did that, but yeah. Next up, I have a couple of these like oddly shaped palettes. So I have the Vacation Mode palette, which was in collaboration with Ava Gutowski, which is My Life as Ava on YouTube. And this palette, oh my god. I filmed a video on this palette. This is what it looks like. It is very old. I think by now it must be like 4 or 5 years old. But this is still one of my favorite palettes ever. I just love these shades for some reason, like these two and then this one as like an inner corner highlight. I was obsessed with this palette, which is why I'm giving it 4.5 stars. And this must be like when Colourpop just started doing eyeshadow palettes. So yeah, this holds a very special place in my heart. It just brings me back to when I filmed that video and that time, and yeah, really love that one. 4.5 stars. Then we have this one, the Cherish Pressed Powder Palette, which it reminds me a little bit of like Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes, but the quality just wasn't really there, and again, not really, I don't know, it doesn't really spark joy to put it the Americano way. So yeah, 3 stars for this one. Then we have a face palette also from the Eva Kwiatkowski collection, Mermaid Glow. This palette I always take with me when I go traveling. It has a blush and a highlight in it, and I just absolutely love these two. To this day, I still bring this with me on every vacation, so I'm going to give it 5 stars. Then we have Take Me Home, again one of the first palettes I think they ever did, which has 6 small pans in it. The quality wasn't there yet with Colourpop, so I don't know, I'm going to give it a 3 stars as well. It used to be on my desk, which is why it changed color right here, but yeah. Moving on to a couple of these bigger square shaped palettes. Again, these are really old and one of the first palettes that they did. So we have the Perception palette with Shayla, which looks like this. I thought this was a beautiful palette and I absolutely loved the color story in this one. It has a lot of variety, and again, love the quality, so I'm going to give this 4.5. Then we have Through My Eyes from the I Love Sarai collab, which is again a beautiful, like more summery toned eyeshadow palette. It has a lot of deep shades. Love the quality, love the color story. 4.5 stars. All right, and then we have these two. We have Fame and Fortune. I again filmed a video on these, so again, they really hold a special place in my heart. I know one of them is warm toned and one of them is cool toned. So this is Fame, which is the cool tone palette. Absolutely gorgeous. I think they did such a great job on these two palettes. They have a beautiful selection of shades. You can create beautiful eye looks with these. So 4.5. And then this one is the warm toned eyeshadow palette, which I'm also going to give 4.5. Actually no, I'm going to give this 4 stars. Now that I'm looking at it, it just looks like a random mix match of colors, which is why I'm giving it 4 stars instead of 4.5. Wow, this must be really old because it has some weird buildup on it. It looks so disgusting. But yeah, again, I've had these for years. Alright, next palette that I grabbed is the Villains Misunderstood palette, which I think, was this their first Disney collab? I'm not sure. No, hold on. I think this might be their first Disney collab. This is the Disney Designer Collection. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was their first Disney collab. This is what the shades look like. Beautiful shades. Also, this packaging, I think they did, again, such a killer job on. But the color story just looks a bit boring to me. I think they could have done a little bit better. So I'm going to give this 4 stars. And then the Misunderstood palette. This is what it looks like on the inside. I'm going to give this 3 stars simply because I don't get this color story whatsoever. It just looks very random to me. It also doesn't really scream like Disney villains. I don't know. I just think this is very random, which is why I give it 3 stars. I never grabbed this palette, and I don't see myself grabbing it that quickly. Next we have Golden State of Mind. Again, I think this is one of their first palettes ever. This only had like shimmery shades in it, and I think this released for the holidays like a couple of years ago. Mine looks disgusting, but these were very pretty shades. It is just quite old, so I'm not sure. They still look okay, but I love this palette, so I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. I just it wouldn't be sanitary for me to use anymore. It also has like oil buildup, so it looks disgusting, but I enjoyed this palette so much. Then we have the Colourpop Mulan palette. Again, this is one of these palettes that I just don't really gravitate for that often. It also has these like pressed glitters, which I'm not the biggest fan of, so I'm going to give it 4 stars. Then we have the Sandstone collection. I think I bought this on sale. The shades are very pretty. If I can remember correctly, the quality was not what I'm used to from Colourpop. It was a little bit drier, so I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. Alright, then I was going to rate this palette, but it is just an empty palette. It doesn't have anything in it, so I'm going to put it here. Next up, we have Chasing Rainbows. For some reason, I kept this on there because it just makes it look way cuter. But these are the shades on the inside. Again, one of their first eyeshadow palettes. I don't know, this doesn't really excite me that much. It is more colorful, but again, very random, so I'm going to give it 3.5. When Colourpop first released their eyeshadow palettes, I used to buy almost all of them, but over the past years, as you guys may have seen from Colourpop, they release new eyeshadow palettes like weekly, so I just cannot keep up, which is why I have tons of their old eyeshadow palettes and not a lot of their new ones. Next, you have another Disney palette, Disney Midnight Masquerade. This one I thought they did a really good job of. I think these shades are beautiful. The packaging is absolutely stunning. So I'm going to rate this 4 out of 5. Next up, we have the Rudolph eyeshadow palette, which I just reviewed in December. This was part of their Christmas collection of 2021. And these shades are just absolutely beautiful. It is such a beautiful Christmas palette. The color story is so Christmassy. I think they did a killer job on this one. So 4.5. Actually, no, I'm going to give this 5 stars. Then we have the Brunch Date palette with Zoella. Again, quite old, but I really love this palette. I love the packaging. I mean, that is just beautiful branding. So I'm going to give it 4.5. Next up, we have California Dreaming and a ton of these like palettes that they used to do in the beginning. So California Love. Did I say Dreaming? It is California Love. Actually, I forgot I had this palette, which is really bad, and I think I only used it once, but these colors really inspire me, and I think they did a great job with the theme on this one. It just screams like California, Palm Springs vibes to me, even though Palm Springs is probably not California. But yeah, this is definitely a beautiful palette, giving it 5 stars. Next up, we have Whatever, which again are very like beautiful, romantic rose tone shades. Quality is really good. It even has a Super Shock shadow in here. And I think this was one of the first palettes that they did that. So really beautiful palette. I'm going to give it 4.5. Next up, this is definitely top 5 for me, the Kathleen Lights Dream Street palette. Mine is very used and very loved. This shade right here, these two, I mean, this is just a beautiful palette. Again, I filmed a review on this palette on my channel, and it just holds a very special place in my heart. So I'm giving it 5 stars, and I'm going to put it on the top 5 pile. Next up, we have Wild Nothing, which is again 5 stars. Love these colors. I am a neutral lover, and this is just right up my alley. I love how this green reminds me of the cactus. They did such a good job on these colors. So 5 stars, and I'm going to put it right here as well. Next up, if I am not mistaken, and correct me if I am wrong, this was their first ever eyeshadow palette that they released. I think it is. And then right here it says Cute AF, but on the back it says Yes Please. And I think afterwards they like rebranded it because it was very confusing. But this is what it looks like on the inside. Absolutely disgusting. I've had this for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. I was so happy that they finally started doing eyeshadow palettes. So I'm going to give it 5 stars just because it again holds a very special place in my heart. I'm very sentimental about this one, so 5 stars. But I'm not going to put it in my top 5 because I don't really use it anymore because that is not sanitary. Next up, we have Give It To Me Straight. Again, a beautiful romantic rose toned eyeshadow palette. Nothing special about it, but I remember it being really good. So I'm going to give it 4.5. Next up, you had me at Hello. Again, one of their first palettes. Mine is again very disgusting, but this is a beautiful palette. For some reason, this is very unique to me, even though it really isn't, and it is still a neutral palette. I just love this. So 5 stars for this one. By the way, I don't really have a lot of like super colorful eyeshadow palettes from Colourpop because I just don't really wear that, so I don't see the point in buying that. Next we have Sweet Talk, which again, love the packaging they did on this one. This is just absolutely gorgeous. I just love peachy, muted, neutral tones, and this is just it. The only downside is that it has 2 of these pressed glitters, but it also has a Super Shock shadow in here, which again I love. So I'm going to give it 4.5 simply because it has these glitters, but I absolutely love this palette. Then we have My Little Pony. This is one of the most adorable palettes that I have from Colourpop. This is what it looks like on the inside. I love all these shades individually, but like together, I don't know. It's really hard to create a look with just this palette. I mean, you can do it, but I don't know. I'm going to give it 4.5. Then we have All I See Is Magic. I think this was again a holiday release. These are the shades, and I remember really loving this palette. Again, beautiful neutral shades. I really don't need another Colourpop palette, but I know I'm going to keep buying them. So this one I'm going to give 4.5. Next up, I have a palette that I made myself. So you can also just create your own eyeshadow palettes and mix all of these individual pans. I think they started out with these before they started making these palettes. So yeah, again, very nostalgic to me. When I used to buy Colourpop, I always grabbed like 1 or 2 of these and just started collecting them. So again, this is just very sentimental, and I'm going to give it 5 stars just for that reason. We are almost there, guys. 3 more palettes and we went through all of them. So next we have Innuendo, which is a beautiful, beautiful highlight palette. As you can see, I hit pan on the shade On the Loose, which means you already know that I just absolutely loved it. It is a beautiful, beautiful highlighting palette. I don't know if they still do it. I don't think they do because this is really old, but this is 5 stars. Quality is so beautiful. It's not glittery. It is just the best. Next up, this is another empty palette which has a few of my like face pans in here. So we have a blush, 2 bronzers, and 2 highlighters. Again, started collecting these. Yeah, I have to admit I don't really use these that often, which is such a shame. I'm going to put these in my everyday makeup drawer because I really need to use these more often. Quality is really good, so 5 stars. And then the last eyeshadow palette is So Jaded from Kathleen Lights. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that this is the first like bigger eyeshadow palette that they did. And these shades are absolutely beautiful. I think they did a really good job with these like stones and the matching colors and everything like that, but still keeping it cohesive. And yeah, what I love about this palette is that you can create multiple eyeshadow looks using just one palette. Very beautiful. It does have again 2, I think, of these glitters, but yeah, for the price that you pay for this big eyeshadow palette, you cannot go wrong. So 5 stars. Alright, and then we actually have my top 5 right here. I'm going to try to rank them like 1 to 5. Alright, I think this is the right order. So number 5 is Nude Mood. Again, this is what it looks like. Number 4, the Child palette. So beautiful and original. Number 3, Wild Nothing. So beautiful. Number 2, Dream Street. Just need I say more. And then my all-time favorite number 1 palette from Colourpop is Going Coconuts. This one right here. So if there is anything that you absolutely need to get from this video, it is one of these 5 eyeshadow palettes. That is, if you love a good neutral eyeshadow look, then you absolutely need these in your life. Alright, so these are all of my eyeshadow palettes from Colourpop organized into one little drawer. This drawer just makes me so happy. I love Colourpop eyeshadow palettes. They are a big part of my YouTube career, and just, you know, I can't really call it a career, but Colourpop is just a really big part of my YouTube journey, let's put it that way. And yeah, I am just forever grateful for all of these palettes. The fact that I could like afford them and have them shipped to Belgium. The fact that I was able to collect all of these just makes me very proud, and I just love all of these Colourpop eyeshadow palettes. So yeah, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you really enjoyed it. Be on the lookout for the Colourpop Winnie the Pooh review that is coming once I receive my package, so hopefully in like a week or 2 weeks. But yeah, thank you for watching. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.